They laughed at the legends until the battleship arrived from the void. The signal wasn't supposed to exist at first. The crew of the Halberd thought it was just noise space static from a long-dead satellite or some drifting alien junk. But then it pulsed again. Slow. Regular. A repeating tone buried deep in a forgotten part of the Cums band. Captain Myra Lane stared at the waveform on the screen. "That's not random," she said, voice tight. Her pilot, Juno, turned from the controls. "Looks old. Real old." Mira nodded slowly. "Track the source." The signal came from deep space, a place with no trade routes, no colonies, no stations, just black stars and frozen silence. A dead zone. Off limits on most maps for one simple reason: nothing ever came back. They should have reported it and moved on. They didn't. The Halberd adjusted course. 10 hours later, they dropped out of warp near the rogue planet. It spun slowly in the dark, alone in space.
How?
No sun, no moons, just cold rock. But it wasn't the planet that made the crew fall silent. There was a ship. It hung motionless above the atmosphere, long, dark, and silent. It didn't reflect light, it swallowed it. Shaped like a spear, it looked more like a weapon than a vessel. It was massive, larger than any human or alien design on record. "Is it alive?" whispered Clem, the engineer. "No power emissions. No heat," said Juno, running scans. "It's not dead. But it's not sleeping either. It's waiting." That was when the signal changed. The pulses slowed, turned into a pattern, a rhythm. Then a voice. Just one word repeated in static-cracked English. "Return." Myra stood frozen. "It knows us." The ship was sealed. No hatches, no docking ports, no markings. But Sanctum 3, as they would later call it, wanted someone to come inside. And it only responded to one thing: human presence. When Myra stepped close in the EVA suit, lights lit beneath her boots. A circular door slid open from nowhere, revealing a ramp and a hallway filled with blue light. Only her. Not the alien ambassador on board. Not the synthetic. Only Mira. She stepped inside. It was warm, clean, like it had been expecting her. Walls shimmered with strange symbols. Some looked oddly familiar. Her breath caught as her helmet lights hit a control panel. The chair in front of it wasn't alien. It was human-shaped. Perfectly. That's when the lights flared. A soft chime echoed in the corridor. And a voice spoke from the walls. Not metal, not robotic. It was gentle, calm. Like an old friend waking up. Genetic match confirmed. Custodian protocol unlocked. Initiating startup. Behind her, the ramp sealed shut. The crew outside panicked. Cums went dead. Inside, the ship hummed like a living thing. Mira raised her arm, and the walls followed her motion. Doors opened. Lights shifted. And beneath the floor, a pulse of white energy began to rise. Systems reactivating. That's when the real message began. Not just a signal, a broadcast. Not to Halberd, but to Earth. Coordinates, names, instructions. All wrapped in a code that hadn't existed for 100,000 years. Sanctum 3 was speaking to home. And Earth had no idea who or what was calling outside. The stars seemed a little darker. From far beyond the known sectors, something stirred. And in the back of her mind, as she stood alone on a ship built for someone like her, Mira heard a whisper she couldn't explain. "You were never meant to forget us." She wasn't sure if the voice was real, but she was sure of one thing. This was no derelict. It was a key, and someone, somewhere, had just heard it turn. Asterisk, the crew scrambled to figure out what had just happened. From the Halberd's bridge, Juno tried to re-establish contact. "Captain Lane, do you read me, Mira? Come on." Clem, still glued to the sensors. Looked pale. "The ships. Talking to Earth, that thing is sending data, lots of it. Compressed, encrypted, ancient, encrypted, how?" Juno asked, not looking away from the screen. "Like nothing I've seen. It's not from any current human tech. But the patterns, they're based on Earth languages, proto-languages, extinct ones. It knows our roots, it's speaking in history." Inside the ship, Myra felt calm, though she knew she shouldn't. The lights dimmed to a soft glow. The air tasted like nothing clean, balanced, comfortable. The ship spoke again, the same gentle voice. Cognitive stress elevated. Shall I lower visual input? Mira blinked. No, I'm fine. Her voice shook anyway. All right, the voice replied softly. She turned down a hallway, and it lit up as she walked, responding like it was alive. Doors slid open without a sound. She found herself in what looked like a command center. Clean, untouched. No dust, no decay. Panels lined the walls, glowing faintly. A single chair sat in the center. She hesitated, then sat. The chair adjusted automatically, molding to her frame. Lights blinked. Screens came alive. A star map unfolded in the air above her galaxy's sectors, blinking points of light. One of them pulsed in bright red. Earth. The ship whispered again. You are the first. Others may follow. The failover has begun. Failover, she asked aloud. What are you talking about? But the ship didn't answer. Back on the Halberd, things weren't quiet anymore. 3 alien ships had appeared at the edge of the rogue planet's orbit, sleek and armed. One of them hailed them. Juno answered. The alien face that filled the screen was long and narrow, with skin like deep green marble and golden eyes that didn't blink. This is Commander Erotic of the Polari Watch. Human vessel Halberd. You are trespassing in a forbidden sector. Your actions risk awakening an ancient danger. Juno frowned. We didn't come looking for trouble. We picked up a signal. Erotic's eyes narrowed. And you responded to it? We did, Juno admitted. You must leave immediately. Before it finishes booting? Clem muttered. What? Like a computer? You don't understand what you've touched, Erotic said. That ship was never meant to be found. Not by you. Not by anyone. Juno crossed her arms. Why is it reacting to us if it wasn't meant for us? There was a pause. Because it recognizes you, Erotic said coldly. That's what we're afraid of. The comlink cut. The alien ships began moving closer. Myra watched the map change. New ships, blips approaching her location. The ship showed her everything. Names, power levels, weapon systems. Then it highlighted the Halberd in blue. She was still connected to her crew. Somehow can I speak to them? She asked. Yes, the ship said. Channel open. Halberd, this is Mira. I'm okay, Mira, Juno shouted. My God, what's happening in there? I don't fully know, Mira said, trying to stay calm. But this ship, it knows us. It's built for us, Clem broke in. Mira, alien ships are here. They want us gone. Say we're waking up something dangerous. Mira looked up at the glowing panels. The ship calls itself Sanctum 3. It keeps talking about a failover protocol and something about custodian keys. I think it was built by a civilization we don't know. Maybe. The ones who made us. There was silence. You're saying this ship is human? Juno asked. No, Mira said. I'm saying we might not be. Dot say the alien ships formed a blockade. Inside, Sanctum 3 came to life. Lights across the hull ignited, blue and silver patterns forming like circuitry across its surface. Energy gathered in long, spine-like ridges. The aliens pulled back. One sent a final message. You've crossed a line. If that ship activates fully, it may draw attention we cannot afford. What attention? Juno asked. But the message had ended. Mira stood from the command chair. The ship responded. All systems shifted into active status. New panels opened. A pulse went through the deck. It was like the ship had been holding its breath. Now, it exhaled. A second signal launched into deep space stronger, faster, on a frequency no one used anymore. The ship was calling something, or someone. On the wall behind her, strange symbols began glowing. 3 of them were familiar. She had seen them on cave walls in her grandmother's village. Old carvings. No one knew what they meant, until now. She touched one. It glowed warmer, the ship said. Welcome home, custodian. And outside, something in the dark, far beyond any telescope's reach, turned to listen. The air inside Sanctum 3 no longer felt still. It hummed quietly, like the heartbeat of a creature waking from a long sleep. Mira stepped back from the glowing wall, her hand trembling. The symbol she had touched stayed lit, pulsing slowly like it was breathing. More symbols flickered to life all around her, responding to her presence. The ship was watching, waiting outside. The halberd floated in orbit, tense and quiet. Juno kept scanning the alien ships, ready to bolt if they powered up weapons. Clem worked furiously at his station, trying to pull data from the energy surge that had pulsed through space just moments ago. Were still linked to her suit feed. Clem said, "She's okay, but that second signal, whatever it was, wasn't for us then. Who was it for?" Juno asked. No one answered. Inside, Mira heard the voice again. Not in her ears this time, but in her head. Soft, clear. "Would you like to see your origin?" She hesitated. "Yes," she whispered. A beam of light appeared in front of her, forming a floating screen. What? It showed Earth, but not as it was now. It was wild, untouched, green and blue. No cities, no satellites, no noise. Then the image shifted. A ship not Sanctum 3, but one like it hovered in orbit. Far in the past, small pods rained, down from its hull like seeds. They landed in oceans. Forests, mountains. Mira stared in shock. Those were people, precursors to your kind. Humanity was seeded. Earth was chosen, watched, guided, but then we fell. We, the custodians, builders of this vessel, guardians of the line, you are our descendants, born of our final plan. Myra's chest tightened. The idea was impossible. Humans weren't from Earth. Is the story of evolution, of history wrong? Or maybe just incomplete? But why hide this? She asked. Why not tell us? Because your growth had to be natural, free. You were meant to find us only when ready. Only when the threat returned. What threat? But before the voice answered, alarms rang through the ship, low and distant like horns sounding across a battlefield. The lights dimmed, then turned red dot outside. Clem shouted, "Something's coming." On the bridge of the halberd, the alien ships began to scatter. A new blip appeared on the screen, fast and strange. It didn't look like a ship. It had no clear shape. It flickered, bending the stars around it, like space itself was rippling. Juno stared at the readings. That's not a ship. That's a shadow. Inside Sanctum 3, the voice spoke again. Louder now, more urgent. Void class. Anomaly detected. Type 1 incursion. Defense systems offline. Recommend evacuation. Myra stood frozen. I thought you were waking up, not fully. I need more of your kind to complete restoration. You are 1, but 12 are needed. 12. Mira's mind raced. Did that mean only humans could activate the ship? Was that why it had chosen her? She turned back to the main console. Show me the anomaly. Dude! The screen shifted. A black, shifting cloud appeared on the map. It wasn't large, but it wasn't still either. It moved like smoke underwater, twisting and pulsing. This is a scout? A fragment. The main body is still far away. And what does it want? Myra asked. To consume. No further answer was given. Suddenly a voice crackled in Mira's earpiece. Juno. Mira, the shadow's heading for us. It's ignoring the aliens. It's locked on you. Whatever that thing is, you woke it up. Mira's hands curled into fists. Then we stop it. Not yet, the ship said. Cannot win alone. But you can run. Run. I can mask your signature, cloak the halberd, and draw the shadow away. You must warn the others. Gather your 12. Complete the line. Mira hated it. Every part of her wanted to fight. But this wasn't about pride. This was about survival. She turned and ran back toward the entry corridor. The walls lit up ahead, of her guiding the way. Behind her, the sound of systems powering up echoed like distant thunder. The ramp opened. She jumped into the void and used her suit thrusters to reach the halberd. Juno hauled her in. What's happening? Juno asked. As the hatch sealed, we're leaving. Now, the halberd pulled away. On sensors, Sanctum 3 began to glow with strange patterns. Then vanished, its entire form cloaked behind a distortion field. The shadow twisted, followed, and was gone. The alien ships didn't chase. Clem looked up from the reading shaken. What the hell did we just find? Mira sat back in her chair, pulling off her helmet. Her face was pale, her eyes focused. Not what she said. Who? Asterisk, the journey back was silent. No one on the halberd spoke for a long time. The stars outside looked the same, but something had changed. Everyone felt it. Clem finally broke the silence. You said the ship spoke to you? What did it say, Mira? Mira sat at the head of the table in the small briefing room. Her helmet rested beside her, visor scratched. She looked tired but clear-eyed. It said, "We're not from Earth," she began. Clem blinked. Come again? Ship Sanctum Threcht. Itself a custodian vessel. Said humanity was seated on Earth thousands of years ago. It's planted like a backup plan. Juno crossed her arms. It's impossible. There's no evidence of anything like that. Mira nodded. Till now. She pulled up the files the ship had downloaded into her suit before she left. Strange star maps, DNA sequences, images of worlds that no longer existed, and one that looked like Earth long before humans built anything. The ship showed me. Pods falling to the planet. It's like escape vessels, or maybe life capsules. Juno scrolled through the images, jaw tight. If this is real, it changes. Everything. Science. Religion. History. Mira didn't respond. She just looked at the last image, a symbol glowing on the ship's wall. The same one she remembered from her grandmother's stories, carved into stones near the village where she grew up. A spiral. 3 rings. A line through the center. She'd seen it all her life and never known what it meant. Now she did. It meant custodian. The silence was broken again by a warning chime. Incoming message, Clem said. Encrypted origin. Outpost Seraph. Outpost. Seraph was a human listening station on the edge of known space. Barely staffed. Mostly quiet. They opened the message. It was short. Unknown object detected near. Seraph large. Active. Requesting immediate support. Local systems failing. Attached was a blurry image. Myra stared at it, heart pounding. It was another ship, just like Sanctum-3. Juno looked at her. Think it's another custodian? Has to be, Myra said. The ship told me there were. More, a fleet. 50 total scattered across the stars. Clem shook his head, said they've all just been sitting there for how long? Waiting, Mira said. Waiting for us to wake them up. Another chime. This time, it wasn't human. An alien transmission blinked onto the screen. Open frequency. No encryption. A Polari ship, not Eritox. But another one. The commander looked older, more serious. Human vessel halberd. We know what you found. We know what it means. And we need to talk. Myra narrowed her eyes. Put it through. The alien's voice was calm, clear. Thousands of cycles ago, our ancestors fought beside the custodians. They left no records, but they left stories, legends, warnings. We thought they were myths, Juno muttered. Same as us, the alien continued. Now the stories match your data, your DNA, your ship. They cannot be ignored. Mira leaned forward. Why are you reaching out now? Because you've awakened one, and the void has stirred. Clem's eyes went wide. They know about the shadow. The alien nodded. We call it the hunger. I consume systems, not just matter, but memory, light, time. Our people remember its edge. That fear has never left us. Mira swallowed. The ship said it was just a scout, a small one. The alien's tone shifted. Then it is already worse than we feared. The signal paused and resumed, this time with urgency. We have tracked another dormant custodian ship near our space. We will not interfere, but we cannot unlock it. Only humans can. We offer you passage, but we ask for help. If this war returns, we want to stand with you. Juno looked to Myra. You trust? Them. Mira was quiet for a moment. I don't know, she said. But if they're telling the truth, we don't have time to doubt. Clem turned back to the console. What do we tell Earth? Mira stood up. We tell them the truth. That our ancestors were warriors, that we've been sleeping for too long. Now it's our turn to wake up. She looked out the viewport. At the stars, they no longer seemed empty. They seemed full of waiting. Asterisk and whatever was coming. She could feel it getting closer. The halberd changed course. Outpost Seraph was only 2 jumps away, but every minute felt too slow. The crew moved with quiet purpose now. Nobody argued. Nobody cracked jokes. Everyone had seen the shadow. Everyone had heard what Sanctum 3 said. They weren't just exploring anymore. They were on a mission. Clem sat at his station, monitoring the second custodian ship that had appeared near Seraph. Still no response, he said. It's awake, kind of. Low energy levels. Nothing like Sanctum 3. Maybe it needs us. To activate it too, Mira said. Like a key. Juno adjusted the nav route. Let's hope it's still dormant. If another one of those void things shows up while we're inside. Mira nodded. We'll be fast. The stars stretched and snapped back as they dropped out of warp. Outpost Seraph came into view, a small station shaped like a half-moon, drifting near the edge of a glowing blue nebula, built for listening, not fighting, and near it was the ship. Larger than Sanctum 3, sleeker, black with faint red lines across its hull, like veins under skin. It pulsed slowly, giving off a low energy hum. The station's lights were dim. Power was flickering. This one's definitely draining something, Clem muttered. It's pulling from the station, like a leech, or maybe just trying to survive. Myra stood, suit up. Within minutes, the boarding pod launched from the halberd. Mira, Juno, and Clem floated toward the custodian ship. As they got close, a seam opened in the hull, smooth and silent. Like the ship had been listening for them. This never gets less creepy, Juno whispered. They entered a long corridor glowing with soft red light. The air was cold, the metal damp with something like condensation. Felt older than Sanctum 3. Slower, but it still knew them. Symbols lit up on the walls, forming a path. It's not blue this time, red, pulsing in a slow heartbeat. As they followed it, Mira noticed patterns, more symbols from Earth. Some looked like ancient markings found on cave walls. Others matched early writing from Mesopotamia. How was that possible? They entered a room like a control center. This ship had a darker feel. Instead of smooth chairs and clean lines, it had sharp panels and jagged lights. But the center console still waited, empty. Waiting, Mira stepped forward. Genetic key recognized, the ship's voice said. This one was deeper, rougher than Sanctum 3. Unit designated Verdant. Secondary command authorization confirmed. Initialization delayed. Why delayed? Mira asked. Core integrity. Unstable. Subroutines. Fragmented. Requesting backup. Interface. Clem pulled out his scanner. The ship's got damage. Maybe from age, or maybe it woke up too early. Mira stepped forward and placed her hand on the console. The ship trembled beneath them. Lights burst to life across the ceiling. The walls flared with red light, then slowly dimmed. The hum grew louder, and the center of the room glowed. Partial activation complete, the voice said. Command structure reestablished, awaiting full custodian crew. Only 3 of us, Mira said. Then you are not ready, it replied. Suddenly a warning rang through all 3 of their helmet coms. Clem gasped. Something just warped in real fast. Mira spun toward him. Void. Clem's voice cracked. I don't know. It's not the same as before. Smaller, but weird. Like, alive. Juno cursed. We have to go. We're exposed in here. They ran back through the glowing red corridor. As they reached the entryway, the ship sealed behind them, leaving no trace of their path. Back aboard the halberd, they pulled off helmets as the ship rushed into motion. On screen, the new object appeared a spiked, shifting form, like metal wires twisting in space. No heat, no radio waves. But it was moving, slowly, watching. It's scanning the custodian ship, Clem said, but not attacking yet. Mira stared. So maybe it's trying to understand us to learn. Or maybe it's deciding how to kill us next time, Juno. Muttered, Mira turned to her crew. Get ready to leave. We can't protect this ship yet, not with just us. She looked one last time at the strange black android vessel. Verdant, another piece of the puzzle. Another key. The ship had waited for them, but so had the enemy. Asterisk the halberd sped away from Outpost Seraph. Engines burning hot. No one spoke as the spiked void thing slowly turned, drifting back toward the second custodian ship. Them. Not yet. Mira stared at the screen, jaw tight. It knows we're connected to the ships. It's twice now they've come after them. After us. Clem tapped through his scans. It didn't attack right away. It's watching. Learning. Maybe the void's smart. Juno glanced at him. No. Maybe about it. Mira leaned forward. How far are we from the nearest? Human command outpost? 7 hours? Give or take, Juno said. Send a burst now. Priority Alpha. Full data dump. Earth needs to see this. Clem hesitated. You think they'll believe us? They have to, Mira said, because we can't do this alone anymore. The message was sent to everything they had. Recordings from Sanctum 3. Activation. Logs from Verdant, scans of the void entities. Even the alien message offering help. Then they waited. Just before their next jump, the reply came. Message received. Return to Relay Point Sigma. Fleet Command will meet you there. Sigma. It was a quiet spot between systems. No planets, no stations. Just a relay satellite and a few patrol ships. But now, as the halberd dropped out of warp, Mira saw it was anything but quiet. Over 24 ships floated in formation. Human military cruisers, science vessels, even a few ships bearing alien markings, Polari, Arc-Airy, and at least one massive Trelon Explorer class. Looks like they're taking this seriously, Juno said. They were hailed immediately. The voice was crisp and familiar. Captain Mira Lane, this is Admiral Solon. Prepare to dock.
Act.
Command wants your report face-to-face. Minutes later, Mira and her team stood in the main briefing room of the largest ship in the fleet, the Vigilant. Screens showing star maps, sensor data, and the dark shapes of the Void Scouts. A dozen officers sat around the table. At the center stood Admiral Solon, tall and grim. You've stirred up the whole sector, he said. Congratulations. Mira kept her voice steady. I didn't do it alone. The custodian ships, they found us. Solon crossed his arms. Your message said you believe humans were seeded by another race, that we're descendants of something called the custodians. Sir, the ships respond only to us. They said they were built to defend against something called the Void. The things you encountered, Solon said. They match some very old records. Warnings passed down by other species, never confirmed. Okay, until now. A Polari elder at the edge of the room nodded. The Trellin call them the Lifeless. They erase everything, worlds, memories, even light. Another alien, with skin like cracked stone, added, they don't invade, they unmake. The room fell quiet. Mira took a breath. Sanctum 3 told me there are 50 custodian ships hidden across the galaxy. We've found 2. One is awake, one is damaged. Both need humans to run. Solon nodded slowly. That's why you're here. He tapped a button, and the table lit up with a galaxy map. Dozens of blinking points. These are the rumored sites based on old alien legends. Places where things vanished. Systems where no life ever took hold. We think these are where the other ships are sleeping. Juno leaned closer, and we need to get to them before the Void does. That's the plan, Solon said. We're organizing search teams now, but we need people who can activate the ships. That means people like you. Mira looked around the room. We'll go. But there's a bigger problem. Solon raised an eyebrow. Which is, they're coming faster than we thought. Sanctum 3 said we had time. But after what happened near Seraph, I'm not sure. The Void's not just drifting in. It's hunting. and it knows we've woken something up. Silence again. Then the Polari elder said, "Then it begins again, the old war." Mira looked at him. Not the same war. This time we're not just survivors. She turned to Solon. "We're the weapons." He gave a small nod. "Then let's make sure we're ready to be used." The mission was clear now. Find the rest of the custodian ships. Wake them. Prepare. Because the void was coming, and Earth was no longer just a planet. It was the front line. Myra stood on the deck of the Vigilant, staring at the stars. They looked the same as always, quiet. But she knew better now. Somewhere out there, the void was moving. Not slowly, not randomly. With purpose behind her, the fleet was busy. Shuttles zipped between ships. Crews trained on custodian interface systems. Search missions had already launched in 5 different directions, each carrying a human team and at least one alien escort. Some of the ships would take weeks to reach their destinations. They didn't have weeks, eh? Door hissed open behind her. Juno stepped out, a datapad in one hand. 3 more custodian locations confirmed. One's in our carry space. The other 2. Let's just say we'll need to ask for directions. Mira smiled faintly. And the one in Polari space? It's already underway. Their people are cooperating. Seems like waking up ancient weapons makes you a lot more popular. Mira didn't answer. She kept looking at the stars. Juno's voice. "Softened, you okay?" "I don't know," Mira said. "All this time we thought we were just passengers in the galaxy. Just one more species." Juno sat beside her. "Now we're the keys to unlocking the biggest defense system ever built, and the only ones who can stop what's coming." There was a quiet moment. The hum of the ship, the whisper of distant comes, the thrum of engines. Then Mira said, "Sanctum 3 said the void can't be reasoned with. Can't be talked to? It just eats." Clem's voice crackled through the Mira, incoming signal. It's from Sanctum 3. Mira stood immediately. Put it through. A soft blue light appeared in front of her, forming the glowing outline of the AI's voice form. "Guardian. Commander Lane," it said calmly. "The void has accelerated." "How fast?" she asked. "Updated estimates suggest major contact in 31 days. Mira swallowed hard. "That's less than half the time you told us before. The void has detected multiple custodian awakenings. It sees the network reactivating. Its instinct is to consume what it doesn't understand." Mira nodded slowly. "It understands enough to be scared." "The term is inaccurate," the AI replied. "The void does not fear, but it does respond to threat. You are now a threat." Mira looked at the star map floating above the deck. The void's approach was no longer a slow wave. It was curling, reaching, like fingers spreading through the dark. "How many custodian ships are active?" She asked. 6, including this vessel. 11 more are partially reactivated. Others remain dormant. "And how many do we need?" "All of them," the AI replied. She turned to Juno and Clem. "No more waiting. We doubled the teams. Triple. The speed? We get every one of those ships online." Solon entered the room, having heard the last part, running out of trained personnel. "Then start training more," Myra said. "Fast. You said it yourself, where are the weapons?" "Now?" Solon gave a slow nod. "We're doing everything we can, but 31 days isn't much time." Mira looked again at the stars. "Then we'll make it enough." For the next 2 weeks, the galaxy changed. Human ships moved like never before fast. Direct, unafraid. With alien help, they reached custodian sites faster than predicted. Some ships were hidden deep underground. Others were buried in dead asteroids. One was found resting inside the core of a long-dead moon. Perfectly intact, each one responded only to human touch. Each one added its voice to the growing custodian network. And with each new activation, the void moved faster. Then on the 27th day, the signal came. The void had arrived in populated space. A colony of 4,000 vanished in minutes. Nothing left but a crater of frozen glass and echoing radiation. No survivors. No warnings it had begun. The fleets gathered near the outer edge of the spiral arm. 52 species stood together. Most had never fought alongside each other before. Some had been enemies for generations now. They shared one enemy. In the center of the Allied fleet floated the first of the awakened Sentinel Sanctimals. Around it, the others joined 12 in total, glowing with power linked through the human minds who now served as their guides. Mira stood once again in the command chair of Sanctum 3. The ship pulsed beneath her boots, alive with light. Guardian's voice echoed in her thoughts. Void presence confirmed. Massive formation entering range in 30 seconds. All custodian ships ready? Mira asked. Confirmed. Energy system stable. Defensive grid linked. Final command awaiting your signal. Juno's voice came through the fleet comms. No. Turning back now, Mira smiled grimly. No, she said. Only forward. She closed her eyes and gave the final command. All ships, fire. The darkness met light. Across the galaxy, in places far from any battlefield, people looked up at the stars and saw nothing. But something had changed. A feeling, a hum in the bones, a sense of something ancient, something massive, rising to defend them. The war had begun, and for the first time in history, all of life stood united not because of fear, but because of hope. Hope carried in human blood, hope born in forgotten stars, hope that this time they would not fail.